One of the greatest threats to the human race
is me and my cat. She will destroy you with adorable.
Is the all-pervasive, ongoing, deliberate manipulation of our food supply.
Manipulate? What do you mean by that? Is someone trying to take away my cheese-infused, deep-fried Mars bar sandwiches with more cheese on top, served with cheese? They better not! How am I supposed to get the prerequisite 27,000 calories a day required to maintain my godlike physique?
From the farm to the shelf, and at every step in between. Our food is contaminated with synthetic chemicals.
Ah, synthetic, that word that always means bad and is basically the same thing as murder. Like all of the terrible life-saving synthetic medicines, as opposed to those wonderful natural things, like hemlock, nightshade or snake root. Those are all natural plants and thus must be completely safe to consume en masse and in fact healthy. After we do that, we should go mushroom picking and eat as many different types as possible. Because nature,
such as pesticides,
murder,
herbicides,
murder,
heavy metals, preservatives, food dyes, stabilizers, artificial flavorings, artificial sweeteners.
Look, you might not like my magic forever banana that's luminous purple and tastes like an apple, but you can't stop me from eating them, so there!
Fake vitamins.
Okay, what now? Fake vitamins. What does that mean? Aren't vitamins vitamins whether they are, well, whatever fake or real means in this context? Do you mean that they're added to things that don't have them normally? Why is that necessarily bad? As far as I'm aware, bodies need things to make them work. And while I understand that you can have too much vitamins, getting a bit extra is just fine, as your body is pretty good at getting rid of things it doesn't need in small quantities. So like I said, I really don't get this one.
Growth hormones, tranquilizers, and even antibiotics.
Right, so we're going to be making fun of a lot of silly today, but I do want to point out before we get full on started, yes, anything done out of control and without any regulation could potentially be harmful, and that big scary companies probably don't have your best interests in mind. But that doesn't mean that you should go completely mad and start making stuff up about things that you don't understand and spreading misinformation. And also, no, defending the science does not mean that I'm defending any particular use of that science. Nuclear energy could literally save us all or blow us all to pieces. It really depends on who's doing what. Just be glad I'm not that who, because I think mushroom clouds are pretty.
Contamination combined with production techniques that utterly decimate the nutritional value of our food.
Didn't you just say they were adding vitamins to food? Again, even fake vitamins are vitamins and sounds like an increase if you ask me, but what do I know? I was always bad at doing a maths.
Such as genetic engineering, irradiation, high temperature processing, and hydrogenation.
So genetic engineering, we're going to ignore that for now because I'm 95% sure we'll get to that. Irradiation and UHT processes are both specifically about preservation, and every single way of preserving food takes some of the nutritional value out of it, because of course it does. But for some people in isolated places, it's a choice between slightly reduced nutritional value and no food. And those processes are considered safe, so, well, you don't have to eat them, so don't. They aren't even for you. And hydrogenation is more of a process that changes vegetable oils into a solid state. And if you think that chugging vegetable oils neat is going to be good for you in any reasonable degree as opposed to chomping down on a bar of margarine, you go right ahead.
Is the primary root cause of degenerative disease in America today.
Citation needed? I mean, there's a link under your video, but, well, it's a link to what appears to be an advert to the book that this video is based on. So,
only organically grown food is guaranteed to be free of human manipulation and synthetic chemicals, and that is why we should eat it.
Nope. Guaranteed. You're joking, right? Apart from the fact that synthetic and human manipulation are not synonyms for bad, and that organic is not a synonym for good, If you understood anything about how organic farms work, you would know that in order for many organic crops to reach usable yields, they often have to use more
pesticides.
Yeah, that's because they don't have these evil genetic modifications that allow the plants to resist insects without it. Now, that's not always the case in either direction, but your claim is
guaranteed to be free of human manipulation and synthetic chemicals.
And yeah, no, that's complete and total gibbering nonsense.
There is overwhelming evidence that pesticides and herbicides cause cancer and are extremely dangerous to humans and the environment.
And yet, both organic and non-organic farms use pesticides. Now, one might counter that organic farms use organic pesticides, and I would counter back, so hecking what? Poison is poison, and that's what pesticides are, poisons for critters. What concerns me is while synthetic pesticides are made with a target in mind, organic ones aren't, because they're made from things that aren't processed as much and can contain many bonus toxins that will attack even the predators of the things that you're trying to deal with. Nice self-own. Is it enough to make a difference to humans? I don't know, but it's irrelevant in the end. A toxic chemical is a toxic chemical whether you get it from a lab or by digging up tree roots.
They usually kill by attacking the nervous system or the hormonal system. Numerous studies funded by the US government, universities and non-profits indicate that when we eat regular food, we're also eating microdoses of these toxins.
Okay, I'm not going to harp on organic crops using them, so you're just kind of digging your own grave here, but wouldn't it be great if there was a way that you could have crops that needed less pesticides? If only there was a way to, say, modify them at a genetic level so that creepy crawlies wouldn't be so keen on them, etc. Oh, but what a fantasy sci-fi future that would be. Anyway, better get back to chewing on these mouldy rocks for sustenance.
In fact, after extensive research of government data, the Environmental Working Group has concluded that more than 1 million preschoolers consume at least 15 pesticides per day in their food.
Won't somebody think of the children? I mean, you didn't say what effect it had, if any actual measurable testable effects on them, but, you know, children though. Appeals to emotion, you gotta love them. Two can play at that game. Did you know that there is a serious dietary deficiency in some areas that result in death for an estimated 670,000 and permanent blindness to an additional 500,000 children? And these are numbers we can actually verify, by the way. But fortunately, evil GMO companies have created something called golden rice. It's fortified with evil extra stuff like beta-carotene that helps alleviate these issues of malnutrition massively. Now that's not the appeal to emotion part. No, that's due to the lovely people who buy into your kind of anti-GMO hysteria and went around destroying golden rice crops. I wonder how many people your friends blinded or killed through this wonderful, caring action. Good job.
Unfortunately, pesticides and herbicides accumulate in our body cells, fat tissues, and in the nervous system. What do you suppose happens to your body after accumulating deadly poison for years or decades? That's right, disease.
You do know that people who eat only organic, even if they grow it themselves, sans pesticides or anything like that, still get diseases, right? Also, in order to live like that consistently, you would require to do pretty much nothing but that. To have enough to eat, no one could get any work done. Unfortunately, at least for now, and without widespread acceptance of certain GMO technologies that would reduce the need, the only way to have a world where not literally everyone has to be a farmer is to use pesticides and other mass farming technologies. They are an important part of food production. I'm not saying that they couldn't be better, but using a technology that would mean not using them at all would be way better.
Which is precisely why we should choose organically grown food.
That's just wrong.
According to most estimates, over 70% of the food found in grocery stores has been genetically modified.
See, that's weird, because if you consider anything that the humans have done in order to alter taste, yield, look, pest resistance, and what have you to be genetically modified, well, I'm pretty sure the number is more like 100%. Because unless you go into the depth of some unknown jungle and find a fruit that man has never ever cultivated, that would barely have any of the food part on it, FYI, 95% seeds, son! You aren't going to have access to anything that man has not tampered with. Some argue that no, that's not the same because it doesn't involve scary science. But I would argue that the only real difference between selective breeding and genetic modification is much, much better at getting results. That's it. Nothing's really changed, just an improvement in the technology. Stop being a Luddite.
Genetic engineering involves viruses, antibiotics, and DNA restructuring at sub-microscopic levels.
Oh, that all sounds very complicated and a little bit frightening to me in my caveman brain. Now, I would rather just never ever use things that I don't understand. Now excuse me while I use this magic square to make the man bring me my limited edition organic potatoes that have been imported from East Asia by 17 separate jumbo jets to get them past customs. Because they may or may not be extremely poisonous.
GMO food doesn't taste or look better, nor is there proof that it has more nutrition or that it can feed more people.
That is not even remotely true. I mean, ignoring the taste or look better thing, as most GMs aren't pigging designed to do that, they are absolutely able to feed more people. How does that make any sense to you, even remotely? Why would anyone even bother with GM foods if they couldn't do the whole point of food more effectively? That is by far the most insane and asinine thing you have said in this entire video, and you should go beat yourself with your organic non-GM flagellation stick until you've learned what you did wrong. Guys, don't forget to panic buy sick brand merch. What if you need to let people know that you are handsome, famous and good at the sex in a variety of tasteful colours? Buy as many as you can afford now before this thing that's printed to order runs out. Also, you can use it as toilet paper if needs be. You never know when you're going to need to wipe your arse.